back to a series of Juana. If you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button and join me on this journey. And also, if you are new to this channel, welcome. For today's video, I wanted to do something different, and that is share a little story with you guys. I wanted to do a story time on the very first time I used a dating app. This is a great story. Some of my friends do know the story. Some of my family know the story. But now I'm bringing the story to all of you, the whole world. Yes, get your popcorn, get your drinks, get your candy, get your food, get your dinner, sit back and enjoy the story. I'm gonna try to not drag it and just get to all the points. I don't want this to be a super long video, but I do want to make sure I get the key points, you know, in the story. So let's get to it. Now, I'm gonna set the scene for you guys. This was the year of 2015. It was the summer of 2015. I had just got back from school. Sidebar, I went away my freshman year of college. I went away to a school. It was 7 hours away from my home, and school ended in May. Semester ended in May. I got back, and in June, I remember this day so well. I remember speaking to my best friend on the phone and her telling me that she had found a dating app. It's called Badoo. She had found this dating app and she was like, hey, we should try it out. So I was like, you know what, let me try it out. I was never the type to just take chances with anything, especially something like this. It was completely new to me. Her and I had never joined a dating app before, so we was like, why not try it out and see? So I remember joining the dating app. I remember filling out all the details, then got to swiping. So I remember swiping right, swiping left, and then I remember coming across this guy. His pictures, he had a picture in a suit, he had a picture in a newspaper, and then he was a white guy, and he had like brown hair, and I was like, who is this guy? Like, all I remember was just looking at him and wondering, who was he? And I know I thought he was cute, and I pretty much just swiped right. After I swiped right, I remember us matching, and then me being the bold one, I messaged him like, hey. And can you guys guess what his response was? Hey, I'm going to sleep. I was like, wow, okay. So did this guy just completely shut me down? Yes, clearly by his response. At that point, I was like, listen, if he doesn't write me tomorrow, girl, move on. If he does, cool. The next day comes, he writes me back, hey. So we pretty much start the conversation. I think we had like a little conversation, asking each other like simple questions. And then I remember him wanting to meet. I remember him asking, you know, like saying, hey, you know, we should meet up. And I remember in that moment feeling a little, I felt a little weird just because I had never, mind you, I never used a dating app. I never met a guy off of an app. And I was like, this guy's a little too eager to meet. We just kind of had a conversation. What is going on? But I'm a firm believer in going with your gut, and my gut, like, I didn't get any bad feeling at all, and I literally went with my gut. And I was like, you know what? This guy does seems pretty nice, pretty cool. You know, again, somebody can seem like that, and then you can meet them and they can be completely different. So, but with me and my gut, I was like, why not? Now, I remember us planning to meet, and I remember the day that we were supposed to meet, my friend, one of my closest friends, was graduating, and she was graduating from my old high school. And my old high school was around Wall Street. He, on the other hand, had worked in that area. So I remember we spoke about it. I was like, hey, I'm going to my friend's graduation. And he was like, wow, perfect. Like, I told him where it was. He said, perfect. I live, you know, I work around there. So we had planned to meet. But I remember something had happened and we couldn't meet at that specific time or at that moment. And he just said, hey, how about I meet you after work? Now, at this time, I was working at a clothing store called Mystique Boutique. At the time, it was on 33rd Street. And I remember telling him, like, hey, you know, this is where I work. This is the street, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Now, when I got to work, I remember I was just super excited. And I told one of my coworkers, like, hey, you know, come with me. Like, stay with me after work. I'm about to meet this guy. Like, I just don't want to be alone. She was like, yeah, of course. I remember after work, we were literally waiting outside in front of the store, and I remember just looking around. I remember texting him. I think I was like, where are you? Or he said, I'm here. I looked across the street, and all I see is a guy leaning a pole like this, leaning. And I'm like, and he had a bomber jacket, he had on jeans, and I think his shoes were, I want to say Louis Vuitton sneakers. And I was like, okay, whoa, like, this guy literally looked exactly how he looked in his pictures. So at that point, I was like, yes, I didn't get catfished. Way to go for me. I remember crossing the street. I remember us speaking, and I remember hearing his accent. And I remember him telling me that he was from France. And I was like, wow, okay, that's, you know, that's cool. So I remember being so fascinated, like, oh my god, like, it was my first time that I had met someone like who literally like just came. Well, I've met people from different places, but it was my first time, you know, meeting someone from France. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So at this point, it's me, my coworker, and him. Now we go to this, yes, we went to Cold Stone, my favorite ice cream place. We went to Cold Stone, we all ordered something, we were all sitting down talking. Once I kind of felt comfortable, I remember texting my friend like on the side, like, hey girl, like, you know, like, everything's good. She left. At this point, it's just me and him. I remember us being there for a little while and then us leaving. At this moment, we start walking to the train station. I remember, you know, we start talking, getting to know each other more, and he was just like, what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a journalist. And he's like, oh, you want to be the next Giuliana Rancic? And I was like, yeah, what about you? And he's like, oh, I want to be, I'm taking pictures, I'm like a photographer. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So I remember us talking, and then I remember before we got to the train station, I was like, hey, we should take a picture. So we took a selfie, which I have inserted in this video, you will see that later. So we took a selfie, and then we went downstairs to the train station, and that day we just pretty much planned to just hang out the whole summer. And I remember feeling so excited after that day. I remember I started writing down a list, like, I want to take him here, I want to take him there. And I remember like showing him that list and saying like, I want to take you here, I want to take you there. Like, I was super excited. And I remember the first place that we went was to Staten Island Ferry. And I remember we went to the Staten Island Ferry. I took another selfie because I was like, I just want to document and take pictures of everywhere that we go, because I thought like this was just, I was just super excited. So we took a picture, got on the ferry, rode the ferry. That day was just so, it was just so fun. And I was like, wow, like, this is really, I've never done anything like this before. You know, meeting a guy off an app and then you start going on dates and all that. Like, it was just really cool. So after that, we went to Shake Shack, which, by the way, at that point, it was my first time ever trying Shake Shack, and I fell in love with it. We had Shake Shack, and then from that day on, we just went on so many dates. Like, we just kept hanging out the whole summer. Two things I want to tell you guys is two of my favorite memories of him. One of them was when, this is going to just make you like, woo. So I remember, before I get into this, when I met him, I didn't go into things with the mentality like he's gonna be my boyfriend, we're gonna be together. I literally was just like, he's my friend. Yes, I think he's attractive. Yes, I have a little crush on him, but he is my friend, and that is it. I'm not gonna just force anything at all. Like, he's my friend. And I remember my friends saying like, hey, does he like you? Has he made a move yet? Blah, blah, blah. You know how like friends get. And I was like, guys, chill out. If that happens, it happens. So we had been hanging out so many times, and nothing ever happened. No moves ever happened. Now, there was one day that we hung out, and I remember I took him to my favorite bubble tea place. Shout out to Bubble Tea and shout out to Coco. My favorite bubble tea place. We went to Coco, and I remember we went and we ordered our drinks and we sat. And I remember he sat in front of me. I remember we were sitting like, you know, face to face. And I remember me saying like, I'm cold, and he was like, why don't you come here so I can wrap my arm around you? And I was like, is this happening? Like, is this the moment where he makes his move? So I remember sitting there stunned. At this point, I'm like, I don't even know what to do. I'm sitting there stunned, and I remember looking at him, and he's looking at me like, are you gonna come or not? So I go over, he has his arm around me. At this point, we're sitting, he has his arm around me, and I'm like, whoa, like, things are getting a little heated, because it's like, wow, like, he finally made his move. So I remember after this, we take the 6 train, and we take the 6 train to Union Square. We get up at Union Square. I remember being on the platform, and I remember us kind of like playing around. Like I think like I wrapped my foot around his, and we were like kind of like playing a little bit, like you know, arm like that. I remember he did something like kind of smooth, and like he like put his arm around my waist, and I was like, whoa, like move number 2. Wow, I see you. So I remember he had his arm around me. I remember us getting on the train, and he had his arm, one of his arms was around me, his other arm was holding the pole, and my arm was holding, like my hand was holding the pole too. And at that moment, I'm like, wow, like this is different. Like, you know, like again, he hadn't made any moves all the times we hung out, and like at this point, I'm like, okay. Obviously, I was nervous. So after that day, we kept hanging out, and then another one of my favorite memories is when he actually told me to come to his job and to come during his break, and he wanted us to eat lunch together. So I was like, that's cool. I remember going down to his job. Again, he worked around Wall Street in that area. I remember going down to his job and then us getting something to eat. We came back and we literally went all the way to the roof, like the roof top of the building where he worked in. And I remember us eating our food, talking, and then I remember getting up and like leaning against the, wow, I feel so dumb. I remember going up and going closer, not like to the edge, but like I like was leaning my arm. And I remember just looking at everything. Like I could just see all the tall buildings, the water, like it just looked so beautiful. And I remember in that moment, I was just like, this is just great. Like this is just amazing. Like I had never been on a roof in building in downtown Manhattan and seeing the beautiful view, and it was just so beautiful outside, and I was like, wow. So that was a very good memory of mine. I forgot to mention another thing. One of my other best memories would probably be the last time we hung out, which was when I remember, I think on this day he had got Chipotle, he had got a burrito. I remember we were around 33rd Street. He ate his burrito. I remember us talking. I remember us saying, you know when you're like, that was like pretty much around the last time that I was seeing him. And I remember us saying, like, I remember me saying like, I'm gonna miss you, I'm gonna miss you too. Like we're just basically saying how much we're gonna miss each other. And I remember after he ate the burrito, we're talking about how much we're gonna miss each other. We took the train. We took the train to 86th Street. I remember we got off and he was waiting with me for my train. And when I looked up to see when the train was gonna come, it said 20 minutes. So at this point, I'm like, all right, like 20 minutes is long, but 20 minutes is good because we still have our, you know, our last moments. So we're talking, time is going by. I remember looking up again, and I kid you not, it said like 2 minutes at least, like 2 minutes or a minute. I remember saying, we only have 2 minutes left, like literally just like that. And literally right after I said that, he went in and just full on we were just full on making out. Like that was just it. I remember full on making out. I remember in that moment, it just felt so passionate and so real and so genuine. And then I was just like, wow, like I think because mind you, this was our at this point, that was our first kiss ever. And I feel like because we had went so long hanging out with each other, we never kissed, we knew the feelings were there. So it's like in that last moment, it was just passionate. Like it was just, yeah. It was like basically built up, and I think that's what made that moment really special, and I think that's what made that kiss really special. So I remember us making out, and I remember I stopped and I looked over, and I remember seeing this woman looking at me like girl, I see, like that type of look. And I remember looking, like I saw her do that, made that face. I went back and we were just full on just making out, like. And then my train came, and then yeah guys, that was pretty much how we said our goodbye. I remember getting on the train and like us holding hands, and like, you know when you're holding hands the person, your hands kind of like literally that was it. And literally picture a movie scene like that, a movie scene with two people who just finally realize they have feelings for each other, and then they just kissing. Literally that's exactly what it was. And that's my story, guys. I'm so sorry. I just didn't want the story to be super long. Another thing that I also want to say is we went to the beach, Far Rockaway Beach. We went to see Ted 2. I believe it was Ted 2 that came out around that time. We also went to a restaurant, Italian restaurant, and I feel like I'm missing something, but that's what I can remember. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much my story time. So I hope you like the story. I hope you learned something from the story, and definitely stay tuned for more stories because I actually like the story time. So definitely like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you next time. Hey guys, I know the video has ended, but I just wanted to say one quick last thing. No, we are not together. We did not end up together. This was literally just my summer romance. This was my first time ever using a dating app, and honestly, I wouldn't have rather it have gone any other way. I am so grateful and I'm so happy that I was able to go through that experience. And one thing that I always tell myself is that no matter what situation you go through with someone, you are always going to remember how that person made you feel. That is one thing that I always literally tell myself. They are doing construction outside, so I literally have to hurry this up, but I'm so happy that I gained a friend through this experience. And I have a friend in Europe. Like, that's super exciting because when I do plan to go to Europe, I have someone that I can visit, that can show me around, and we can always catch up. So that's always nice as well. Again, if you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.